Hey guys, nice to meet again. So let's sum it up from our previous video. We discussed Bitcoin and we were talking about how precisely we are going to play out this setup that we had. We had this resistance that we deviate here, and we went, and I told you, if you followed me on Twitter, and I was discussing this in the previous videos, analyzing Bitcoin and the market in general. We were talking about that we have this perfect setup how this works. We are running, then we're reaching some resistance point, the range resistance. We break it with a fake out, start consolidating, then we dive under it and we retest it. And this is the place that you can short if we see the rejection here. And we saw it and we went right precisely to our trend line support that I mentioned about. These are the two trend lines that I drew here for you and was sharing all this time before. And these are the basics that you have to know and trade from level to level, from trend line to trend line. They work perfectly, especially on the high time frame time frames, of course, and like daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is good for you to use. And as we achieved here, there was the dilemma whether we are going to hold it or we are going to reverse and pump, and how strong this pump is going to be, whether it is going to be up to these levels of resistance and then we chop and lose this trend line and go lower to this one. These were the questions here, but actually they were not that big of a questions because we had a significant support here. As you can see, we have this 730 EMAs. They perfectly work as support indicator. If we lose it, then definitely we would go lower, even much lower. The formation, this bullish formation, would actually would be broken. And also I mentioned from this chart, from the what we call it, logarithmic chart, as we used it. And as you can see, we precisely what we were talking about before is that we have this global trend line that we broke. We went for the retest here and we retested, and I told you that we probably are going to hold it. Higher the chances that we are going to hold it, and we reverse and go for the expansion, at least for the expansion. Why? Because it is needed for us, because if we dived under it, then it would be actually the shit show, and we would get back to 18s, and maybe after that even go lower for the new lows. But we didn't. We held it like it was like we assumed, and definitely now we are retesting this as you can see, death cross, and it has already happened. So everybody is concerned about it, because definitely it is the first time in history that we have this death cross on the weekly time frame. We have never approached even closely this intersection of 50 and 200 moving averages before. So definitely it is a big deal, and it can play out. We don't know what is going to happen. Usually, according to the TA, we play out these kind of crosses, and we need at least one range of the play out, or not one range, at least two ranges, as we discussed in our death and golden cross video. I told you that we need at least two ranges of the play out for the any cross to be play out. As you can see, we have this one range. So basically, if we talk about the weekly time frame and we have this death cross, definitely to play out this death cross and to say that it is behind us, that we can freely and safely invest or buy any coin on the market, that the dump is over, we need at least to get to this one and also have another one from that at least 2.5, and this is somewhere around 14, 15, 13, 12, 10 thousand dollars. We don't know it. Usually, as we discussed in the crosses video, that to play out a death cross or golden cross, we need at least 2.5 ranges of the price movements to say that probably that we can finally reverse. And here we have this first time this situation, and we don't know what is going to happen, but definitely we can see that market maker wants to change to persuade us in the opposite, that we have this golden cross. And I told you and discussed many times that these crosses, golden and that cross, they are the tools, manipulative tools of the market maker, that they are going of the reverse psychology. So if everybody sees this death cross, and everybody, as we approach this support level, everybody was talking about how we crossed the weekly death cross, it is the first time in history and something bad is going to happen. I thought, well, we have on the daily this, as you can see, we already marked the golden cross here. And I told you that, and many times before when we were retesting it here, I told you that we are not able to break this potential at that time, a death cross area and 200 moving average resistance, a strong one, before we retest this daily golden cross. And we actually did. We retested it, and usually by my experience, when we retest it, we have the push, and we actually had it. We had this push, and definitely then we were sent to the golden death cross retest here at 200 moving average here, and that makes sense. And now we have the possibilities that we are going to break it. Actually, as you can see, we have this super trend resistance right here too, and this is a huge resistance. And if we break this 25,800, if we break it, then possibly we can have this run up to $32,000 that I mentioned earlier before. After that, we will have a good correction in this zone. We are discussing the possible scenarios out here and the levels, well, when they are going to go live or invalidated. As you can see, if we break, as I said, 25,800 or 25,900, then we can shoot up to this resistance around 32,000. That is where I would open a lot of shorts. I would short here, somewhere here. Definitely I would be positive that we will come for the retest and at least to 27,000. So, and what is going to happen after that? That is going to be decided later, maybe. We don't know it yet, but that is only if we break this resistance, this strong resistance we talked about. Why is this also important? And why is it possible when we already drew this death cross and it is legit, a strong one, we are going to the upside? There are two possible assumptions here. Basically, we are trying to invalidate this death cross, and kind of I don't see it happening. We still kind of, I hope, not hope, but I think actually we can kind of invalidate it if this cross disappears. But for that we have to have that strong run up to $32,000. Otherwise, it is going to remain legit. And definitely, even if it goes legit, we had this daily golden cross, and we can run to the upside, try something else, but it will, if it remains here, if we have this cross, it remains like this on the daily. If we do not, if it won't disappear on the weekly time frame, this death cross, then definitely we will be back to playing it out, and it is going to be either this year or maybe even up to next year, when, for example, everybody expects and is euphoric about the upcoming I forgot how it is, halving, yeah. And maybe everybody will expect, like in the previous cycles that we are going to run, maybe we'll see some opposite situation, and maybe we are going to draw the new lows. Nobody knows at this moment. These are just scenarios we are talking about. But the fact, if we leave this weekly time frame, weekly death cross, then definitely we are going to play out it in the future, and I think nobody is going to be happy about it, especially those people who were buying all this time here. And I told you before, and in my Twitter account I was writing a few tweets and my thoughts that possibly it has to be very hard cycle for us, because a lot of the market maker, he does everything to play against us and professional traders and investors. So basically, if in 2018, with these dumps that we had in 2019 here and here, he could catch us, and basically because we already were very scared here, and we were talking about Bitcoin going to zero. This time nobody is believing that Bitcoin is going to zero. This time everybody is buying, because everybody is convinced that Bitcoin is going to $120,000, $200,000, and everybody perceives as a blessing that fact that we are that low in the price, and we ignore, especially those people who were talking all these cycles, that we were holding 200 moving average every time. Here we were holding it each time, each cycle we were holding it, and now as we were staying under it, everybody's too excited and nobody's talking about it. Meaning, even if they talk about it, they don't perceive it as a serious situation. But maybe we are wrong. And actually, look at this monthly. Actually, if this monthly gets, after this strong candle that we have had here, monthly candle, if we break to the $32,000, it is possible. Actually, right now it is already possible. In theory, if we break that level that I mentioned. But if we close with this monthly with this kind of pin bar on the monthly, then definitely for example, this kind of, if we'll close it like that, this monthly, upon this 200 moving average resistance on the monthly time frame, we are going to dump the next month up to $19,000. We are going to dump, and we have to be prepared and know these levels and know to follow these high time frame setups and situations, and play accordingly and build our plans accordingly. So definitely look at it and pay attention to that. So basically, let's back to our primary chart here, and what we can see here, what I was talking about here is that, okay, we held this and we had this, as you can see. I will enable the ATR, and we kind of abruptly broke ATR here, but we had this trend line as support, and at the moment we reclaimed this ATR, we started the bump, and of course we went right in the zone that I mentioned all these latest weeks. I marked it for you. But if you will see, look at the weekly time frame, we already broke the weekly ATR, and that is kind of bullish. For example, if this week and the next week, this line already represents our weekly ATR. So basically we have to retest it, and we will retest it. As you can see, based on the ATR, we see these inefficiency zones, untraded zones, and I am positive that we will retest this zone, and the reaction that we get here, if we reverse and break it finally, then we are going to for the new highs and we are bullish. If not, then we are going to talk about the other scenarios that I mentioned before earlier. The possibility of closing monthly not that bullish as everybody thinks. Let's enable our super trend. It will be helpful too, and the Kijun. And based on super trend, we have this situation. Let's talk about it. First of all, we broke this super trend. Yeah, we were breaking its support, and we needed to retest this super trend resistance to confirm that actually our trend has changed. So basically, if we wouldn't break this super trend, then we would go lower. We would confirm that this midterm trend has changed, but we broke it to the upside. So now we are retesting this super trend support, and it means that if we go for the retest of this super trend and we hold it, we do not break it, then we are set for the new highs, at least 28 first. But if we break it to the downside again, then we will talk about, if we break the super trend supports, will appear the resistance, and we are going for the retest here again, and of the super trend's resistance. And if we fail to break it, then we are going to down, and we finally break this trend line, and after we break this important trend line, definitely we are going for this trend line support retest. These are scenarios that you have to know. It is all simple, guys, level to level. And why I think there is possibility actually to break this resistance at this month, it is because of the monthly setup at the moment. It can change anytime because of this super trend formation that we are forming right now. And actually this Kijun, daily Kijun, look at it. Usually these kind of Kijuns, they are standing, and they find the support, they form the support right upon these trend lines that we have. Yeah, basically usually this this Kijun has to be if it tries to break the trend line, this Kijun is happening somewhere upon this trend line. So, but this time it is too far away from the trend line. That is why I thought that we will not break it here, because it is high. What would we do here if we broke it? We needed to do something like this. It is not kind of like Kijun works actually. So basically we have it here, and that is why I think it is going to be somewhere like here at the time we are approaching to that level, somewhere like here. And so basically we are retesting the super trend. If we find the support, then definitely we are going higher. If we fail to break this, or if we break it, if we fail to break, we will have resistance here. If we fail to break it, then we will approach the Kijun right upon the trend line. And if we break it at that moment and lose this Kijun support, then we will retest it, and then we will go lower. This is the indicator, how we use the symbiosis on the indicators that we use, and how they help us understand where we are going to break these trend lines or not, and the super trend also helps us to understand it. It is all together, works together perfectly. So we just need to follow it from the high time frame charts. So these are the thoughts for me. Let's forget about Bitcoin. Let's look at the S&P 500. What we have here? Oh, we have some rejection here. Happened. As you can see, these were what we were talking about. We broke an S&P. We broke the resistance that we held for many months. I guess for a year, the whole year. And definitely, I told you that there is possibility to find the rejection here, and we found it. And also we have this trend line as support, long-lasting trend line, one of the long-lasting trend lines. And definitely, I kind of don't see for us to break it. Let's look at the futures chart. Now, I guess this one is better because we have these trend lines and they will help us. This purple trend line helps us to feel us. I think we can go up to this 4014. I don't think we kind of will break it because, okay, where we can retest this global trend line and how it is going to happen here. Okay, we will kind of at some point we will reclaim this Kijun and it will become our support, and then we will go higher. So I don't see us doing something like that and going lower right to the next trend line. At this moment, I don't see it. I think it is a temporary rejection, kind of. And let's look at the dollar. Okay, this is why it looks delicious right here. We were talking about how after this trend, this candle, the buyback candle, actually I told you that we need to, for the dollar DXY to be bullish, we need to hold it above it. I told you it went not quite as I was expecting because we lost this trend line, and I was expecting it to trade somewhere like here, consolidating and then maybe breaking it and going under this trend line as resistance and then going back. So we didn't so far, but we are approaching here the 105 level. I think it is going to be taken, maybe even this week. Highly probable. Why? Because we are breaking the Kijun as resistance on. We have reclaimed so many trend line resistances, global trend line resistances that we held for years and felt. So definitely we reclaim this trend line again, and choppy, not very fast, but it is what is expected when you try to break through so many resistances, trend lines, historical trend lines. And now we have approached this super trend, or this Kijun resistance, and definitely we are going to open the next one above it, and it will become our support now. So that is kind of interesting compared with the cryptocurrencies. So basically we will try to pull back and retest it as support. We'll feel this super trend catch up somewhere here, maybe up to this one, maybe up from here, but we will reach the 105. We'll see the correction here, and probably we'll go at some point up to 108 and 109, as I was expecting many months before, that we will come for the retest of this, and that is where we will feel the rejection. This is the picture in general that I see here. Hope it will be interesting and useful, but think about the possibility. And from the weekly perspective, I don't see us kind of breaking it, and I don't know whether we will be able to do something like that. We can do it, break it, and find something like that. Not guaranteed, and as you can see, the correlation between crypto and dollar index, it changed, and with S&P also, but this is because dollar has lost its trend. broke this trend line as support that it held for a year and more than a year. Definitely it had its run, and that is why it is not that convincing in its moves, and the correlation is being lost at the moment. Let's look at some of the altcoins that play out I'm following, and they have some a little bit have been insightful for me. So let's look at the overpriced Aptos. As you can see, I told you to follow it and how it is going to, and it already reached the targets that I set from the earlier videos. I told you what to follow. So basically, okay, we broke this trend line, and I told you that ultimate targets that I'm looking at for it to be back 100%, I am sure that Aptos is going to reach these prices. It is this zone, I mean the zone of this trend line. You can draw it and you will have where you can buy it, for example. So basically now it has lost its trend line. I drew this counter trend line, and we have this resistance all-time high already, and as you can see how precisely it found the rejection. All this, we broke this counter trend line as resistance, and we started to pump with the market, alongside with the market, retested this trend line as a resistance, felt the rejection. If we close, for example, like this on the daily time frame today with this or other aggressive candle, then I think we're definitely going to go lower. For the retest, I'd see somewhere here we will retest this zone or this zone. The most interesting part is what is going to happen here, and if you look at it this way, the altcoins can be more insightful. Why? Because we broke this all the lasting upside super trend support, and we went for the retest of the super trend resistance here. And if we are on the few daily time frames and on the weekly we are not going to break it, then definitely we have changed the trend. Basically we can go up to this one, and then if we don't lose this Kijun support, and I think we are not going lower than this for some time, because the Kijun is too far from the price action here. So basically there is a high chance that we are going for the retest of that, maybe not even $20, but somewhere to the highs. Because let's look at the at the weekly first. We closed this week somewhere like this, and we will have another leg down possibly. But look at the monthly, and it is the most important for us. Let's look at the monthly, and what we see here, this candle. This is if we close with the red pin bar here, that will be the sign for me that no matter how we are going to open the next one, we will go, no matter how high we are going to be back under below to $10 at least. Basically we need to follow how the monthly is going to close here. For now it is clear for me that the next one is going to be also to the downside, around $14-13, and then we will decide whether we are going, and there is high probability that we will go back, we will make some kind of expansion, and we will not, it is not going to look that big. I guess something like this is possible then, and we are going to go higher until we close the monthly, and after that we will see how the monthly is closed. If it's red, if it's some kind of pin bar and with the red wick to the downside, then definitely we are going to go, after some bounces, we are going to go to the target that we set before. Let's look at the MINA. Well, the precise great performance from MINA and zero knowledge assets as of as I told you before. Here is my ultimate goal here, around $2. I even placed the sell order at 190, I guess, and this is for me. This was in case Bitcoin breaks through 26,000 and we are going higher, and in that case I would expect the price somewhere here and I would sell to rebuy here. I'm not selling it. MINA, one of my top priority assets in my portfolio, but as I can see, we need to see how this weekly is going to close, and for now I don't like what I see actually, because we kind of broke this resistance, but we are returning back, and if daily closes this kind of aggressive, yeah, then we probably are going to retest this the support here. I shared some definitely the next, if we, for example, like now we have this this setup and this candle that we have, it is an aggressive. I don't think we are going to close like that, but there is possibility that we retest it and we go lower, and if we get back then we stop the chopping, but we are going to go lower. For first we are retesting somewhere this super trend as support, then we find the support, trying again, but we will be back to $82. This is if this weekly closes below this line that we mentioned, that we need to break and hold above, and there is possibility based on this daily closing that we are approaching, there is possibility that we are not going to close above it, and definitely the upside movement has to be stopped in that case if we do not close above it. And that makes sense. I don't know, I shared that before, and somebody even was commenting on my Twitter account, Twitter post, that we won't get 82 cents again. Good luck to you. I said thank you, but I'm not even expecting it. I hold MINA, but whatever is going to happen, I'm not selling it. I'm just saying that we can get back to 82 cents. And after that pump, they already believe that we won't be able to get back to it. But look at it. Look at this daily. It gets back. We are closing under it again. As you can see, here is the another chart we broke it. We drew the, let's remove this one, this arrow. We drew this deviation here. Let's start the next one with the retest of this resistance, and we are gone. Then we are back to the, maybe not right up to 82, maybe higher to 92 threes, where I told you it is important to hold it. And then it will take some time. We will try to go higher, but then we will eventually break this trend line that we hold here, and we are going to go for even 65 cents, I guess. There is high possibility, because well, we can be emotional and bullish, whatever we like, but if it is the market structural bottom, not the event driven bottom, and it is the market structural bottom, we have to draw the structuring on the charts. So basically, after we drew this so higher here, definitely we need to draw higher low, yeah, before we take off for the new targets. Am I right? I think that makes it logical. I think that's logical. So basically, we have to be cautious, very cautious, because all these movements can be deceptive in some sort of. And let's look at the cake. Like, look at how this trend line that I shared with you before in the previous videos worked precisely. How precisely it worked as resistance, and I was trying to catch it. I just didn't manage to catch it because it was on an hourly time frame. This was the hourly squeezing candle. Just couldn't get on board with it. I didn't expect it to happen that fast. And look at it. We broke this trend line as support, and what happened next? We are recovering and we find kind of break it and get rejected, and we are closing. Then of course we can go lower. Okay, not like this, but go lower, and I am kind of sure that we will have some kind of leg up again. We'll meet this resistance again, and if we with the super trend and this trend line are going to be our resistance here together, symbiosis, and this is going to be one of the strong resistances. And if we fail to break it, then of course we are going lower and we are going for the new lows. These are the mechanics, just level to level playing here. And just what else we can look at here. Let's look at the OP. This one can actually break higher in general, but look at how precisely our super trend works. We lost the support of the super trend here, and we are going for the retest of its resistance. So let me be clear here. If we get rejection, okay, we are closing like this tonight. We are trying, I guess, maybe even without the retest here, we are going down. We are going for the retest of this zone. Then if we hold it, then there is possibility. If we have a push on Bitcoin, then definitely we are going higher. If we break the high, then definitely we are going higher, and we are going to double, I guess, our in price from this current all-time high, maybe. But and that is also because of this Kijun. It is too far from this trend line. I told you before, we need to meet these things together, so that we would be so convinced that if we lose it, then definitely we have already lost our bullish sentiment. So definitely these are two apart, and that is why I think we can take time to trade at the upside, and we are not going to dump heavily until we approach this this Kijun supports upon these trend lines. So we have to follow it. That's it, guys. And also we have to follow this monthly and look at the monthly. I was going to share it with you guys. Look at the monthly. We had this is kind of a semi-aggressive sell-off candle, and I wasn't even expecting that it is going to buy back that high. But of course we have this a little wick below that makes it less aggressive, but definitely we will, after this candle, no matter how high we go up, we are positive. We know that the price will go at least to 220, and in my opinion up to 180, 160. We will reach 180, 160 at some point on Optimism. We just need to hold it and wait for the monthly, weekly and monthly closing. Just don't rush with this, with your decisions here. With the DYDX, I shared on my Twitter account. Also, let's look at the situation here. The same situation, look at, and we kind of confirming, if tomorrow we confirm it, this we broke the support, retesting super trend resistance, then again we confirming the trend, that the trend has changed. If we don't break it tomorrow, which I think is unlikely, then we are going for the retest at least 27, 70, 20, 74. And I shared it on my Twitter account that if we break this super resistance, a great range resistance level, then we are going to pump. And I told you that on my Twitter account that you can place your conditional long order upon 274 and it will bring you some profit. And as you can see how much it brought, if you would place this long, first it was 12% and at the end 18% move, you would be able to catch. Right now I wouldn't long and wouldn't advise you to long it, because I am positive that we are going for the retest. And then after that, of course, let's try to find ATR if it exists here. Then, as you can see, precisely we broke the ATR by, we are going one wave, second wave, third wave. Then okay, we started the consolidation. Then we retest this as support, held it to the upside, retesting the super trend resistance. We are going back to the retest. If we retest it successful, there is high possibility that we bounce from here or somewhere in this zone. And we are going to decide further whether we are going to the new upside. And there is in general, and it is also about the Bitcoin, there is the possibility of us drawing some kind of head and shoulders here. And that is what I am thinking about these days. I'm not sure, because nobody can be sure about these things, especially if we are that far from them. But if we hold it and do not break to the downside very strongly and approaching so closely to this Kijun's support and losing it, then of course there's possibility of us drawing some kind of head and shoulders on many altcoins and Bitcoin as well. And let's look at the link. Everybody's talking about how precisely and nicely Chainlink is trading in this almost, it is less than a year, but this range is massive. And remember what I told you, and why it is, and actually it is a good for the long term, kind of, because it can show that the strength of this asset first, and secondly, everybody can think of it as of the accumulation, the strong accumulation. I'm not that kind of optimistic at this moment. Why? Because if you remember, I made a prediction that it is going up to 350 at least here to retest this global trend line. I'm not sure that, I'm not telling this is going to happen 100% and even not even 60%. It is 50-50 for me right now, but I told you to follow it. And the fact that we broke this counter trend line, and I told you that we probably are going to slide upon it as support, and we did. But these Bitcoin pumped, altcoins made hundreds, 100, 200, 300%, depends on the altcoin. And Chainlink was almost stuck in this area, and it didn't break any resistances, and it didn't even approach the resistance of this range. What is going on? And this is the thing that I told you before, when everybody was very optimistic and euphoric about the launch of the Chainlink's staking, and that is the result of that staking launch. Why? Because I told you, where do you think is going to what is going to happen when the staking is being launched? Basically, all the big money and market makers who were using these links to actively trade and create the volatility on this asset, they withdrew their assets, their link coins, and they put them in the long-term staking. Yeah, it is not actually good for the volatility of the asset if you plan to make a lot of access on an asset if you want to invest in it. It is the same situation like with Dot, only Dot uh, launched their parachains at the highs of the market, and that is why it dumped so much. And I warned you about it. Everybody got very excited, and I even profited from those chain link, those parachains. Sorry. And after that, I saw that it is not going above $50 somewhere there, and I took my profit, and I never came back to Dot until these times actually. And the same situation with Link. I told you that a lot of assets, big money, they withdrew their assets from the active trading, and the volatility of Link is going to decrease, and it actually decreased. And if Bitcoin continues some kind of after some pumps, for example, as I told you before, for example, if we let's look at the weekly. For example, if we draw some kind of go for some kind of, even if Bitcoin continues to go higher, yeah, for example, if we don't do something like this and Bitcoin goes higher and we draw something like this, we will be back to our, and finally Bitcoin tries to play out its weekly death cross, then definitely Link is going to dump heavily into these zones, as I mentioned before, because as you can see, there is no trading volatility, huge trading supporting volatility, and on the Link right now, because everybody removed their assets for the staking. And even especially what is important, the big guys, they removed these assets, and that is bad for the market volatility and for your profits actually.